The 12 Principles of Lasting Wealth, a 30-minute guide. Introduction. Your power exists right now. You possess an untapped power in this moment, not because of what you own, but because of what you can understand and apply. The wealthy are not different people living in a different world. They simply operate according to principles that remain invisible to most. These principles have been tested across centuries, through economic cycles, across continents, and in every market condition imaginable. What separates the wealthy from everyone else is not luck, inheritance, or a secret system. It's something far more fundamental, a different understanding of what money actually is. Most people see money as a means of survival, something earned through time and labor that's spent on consumption. But this perspective ensures a life of perpetual scarcity, where stopping work means stopping income, where financial stress compounds annually, and where freedom remains perpetually out of reach. The wealthy see money differently. They understand that money is not merely a medium of exchange or a tool for purchasing goods. Money is leverage, economic leverage, that multiplies the power of every idea you have, every position of influence you could claim, and every impact you could create in your family and community. The fundamental shift from scarcity to leverage. The first and most critical shift happens in your mind. The poor operate from scarcity consciousness. They see a limited supply of money in the world, competing with others for whatever resources exist. From this perspective, your gain is someone else's loss. Money becomes something to chase, beg for, or hope arrives through unexpected fortune. The wealthy operate from leverage consciousness. They understand that money, when deployed strategically, creates multiplicative effects. Your $10,000 invested wisely doesn't just become $11,000. It becomes a tool that generates income, attracts opportunities, and positions you to capture value that wouldn't otherwise be accessible to you. But here's what transforms this from abstract philosophy into tangible reality. Money is leverage for your ideas, your influence, and your impact. Consider the entrepreneur with a brilliant product idea. Without capital leverage, that idea remains confined to her imagination. With $50,000 in leverage, she can launch a prototype. With $500,000 in leverage, she can scale that prototype into a market presence. With $5 million in leverage, she can become an industry standard. The idea didn't change. The money simply amplified its potential. The same applies to community impact. A teacher with deep knowledge but limited resources can impact a single classroom. The same teacher with financial resources can launch educational nonprofits, create scholarship funds, build learning centers, and multiply her impact across generations. Money became the lever that moved mountains. Rule 1. The asset-income divide. Most people spend their entire lives trading time for money. They exchange hours, energy, and years of their life for a paycheck. There's a fundamental limitation to this model. It stops producing income the moment you stop working. Consider two scenarios. The first person earns $8,000 monthly through employment. This income requires his constant presence. If he takes a week's vacation, his employer continues paying, but he experiences the stress of work left unattended. If illness strikes, his income evaporates while medical bills mount. He cannot retire. He cannot pursue meaningful work. He is trapped in what we might call golden handcuffs. The second person also generates $8,000 monthly, but through different sources. $3,000 comes from rental properties. $2,500 comes from stock dividends. $1,500 comes from a small online business. $1,000 comes from licensing intellectual property. Notice what changes. She could take a 3-month sabbatical, travel, volunteer, or rest without a single dollar of income loss. She has built a completely different reality. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket without requiring your constant presence. A rental property generates income while you sleep. A well-constructed business operates through systems and people, producing profit whether you're present or building something new. A stock portfolio generates dividends automatically. Intellectual property, written works, patents, software, generates royalties for decades after initial creation. The wealthy understand this distinction viscerally because they feel it in their freedom. They design their financial lives around asset building, not income chasing. The psychological shift is equally important. When you own assets, you think like an owner, focused on building value, improving efficiency, creating long-term wealth. When you trade time for money, you think like a consumer, focused on immediate gratification and survival. Rule 2. Compound growth through strategic reinvestment. If assets are the foundation of wealth, compound growth is the mechanism that transforms modest beginnings into substantial fortunes. Yet it remains one of the least understood and applied principles. Here's the mechanism in its simplest form. Your assets generate returns. Most people consume these returns as income. The wealthy reinvest returns to purchase additional assets. Watch what happens over time. Year 1, you invest $5,000 in dividend-paying stocks at a 6% return. You earn $300. You reinvest it. Year 5, your original $5,000 plus reinvested returns now generates $340 annually. Year 10, your account has grown to approximately $8,950. You've contributed only $5,000. The market worked for you. Year 20, your account approaches $16,000 without a single additional dollar of personal contribution. Your money is working while you sleep, while you work, while you pursue other dreams. But the real power emerges in the later decades. In years 15 to 20, your account adds more than $5,000. The value appreciation in just 5 years exceeds your initial investment. This is when compound growth becomes geometric rather than arithmetic. The curve doesn't just climb, it accelerates. The wealthy understand this mathematically. More importantly, they understand it emotionally. They feel the security that builds as their assets grow increasingly independent of their labor. This principle extends beyond money. Knowledge compounds as each new concept builds on previous understanding. Business relationships compound as satisfied clients refer new opportunities. Professional reputation compounds as successful projects lead to larger engagements. The wealthy deliberately engineer compounding across every dimension of their lives. Rule 3. Multiple streams and diversified leverage. Depending on a single income source is a vulnerability disguised as stability. A job loss, an economic downturn, an industry shift, and suddenly everything collapses. The wealthy distribute their financial lives across multiple streams and asset classes specifically to prevent this vulnerability. Consider the financial architect who structures wealth across 7 different channels. Primary employment, $120,000 annually, provides immediate capital for investment. Rental properties, $24,000 annually, provides inflation protection and appreciation potential. Business ownership, $36,000 annually, provides control and active growth potential. Stock dividends, $15,000 annually, provides liquidity and passive appreciation. Intellectual property royalties, $8,000 annually, provides leverage on past work. Affiliate partnerships, $4,000 annually, provides diversified online income. Peer-to-peer lending, $3,000 annually, provides higher yields with managed risk. Total, $210,000 annually across 7 independent channels. Now observe what happens if one channel experiences trouble. If the business has a difficult year and drops to $12,000, total income declines from $210,000 to $198,000, a 5.7% reduction. Not catastrophic. The foundation remains intact. Compare this to someone dependent on a single $210,000 salary who loses their job. The cliff is immediate and total. Beyond mere protection, multiple streams create strategic flexibility. During prosperous years, you might direct all business income toward reinvestment. During lean years, You might draw from stock dividends. You're not forced into poor decisions by financial pressure. This diversification extends to asset classes. Real estate provides tangible value, inflation protection, and leverage potential. Stocks provide liquidity, automation, and exposure to global economic growth. Bonds provide steady income and portfolio stability. Each plays a role, none dominates. The wealthy also recognize that different streams require different skill sets and time commitments. They build competence systematically rather than attempting to master everything simultaneously. Rule 4. The commitment to continuous learning. Markets evolve, technologies emerge, regulations shift, economic cycles turn. The wealthy understand that knowledge becomes outdated, that yesterday's best practices become today's limitations, and that adaptation requires relentless learning. This commitment to education distinguishes wealth builders from those who remain financially stagnant despite their resources. The wealthy read constantly, not entertainment, but business publications, investment analyses, economic data, historical market cycles. They attend seminars, participate in masterminds, and study the methods of investors who've achieved results they aspire to. More importantly, they approach learning with intellectual humility. They recognize that financial markets humble even the most experienced investors, that overconfidence leads to devastating losses, and that remaining open to new perspectives is a competitive advantage. Consider how they approach a new investment vehicle. Rather than jumping in, they study it. They understand the underlying mechanics. They examine tax implications. They research who's succeeded and who's failed with this approach. They start small while learning, gaining experience without risking capital that could cause serious damage. They seek mentors who've already achieved what they aspire to. They understand that decades of education can be compressed through studying successful patterns and learning from others' mistakes. The wealthy also understand that financial education integrates with broader knowledge, understanding economic cycles, recognizing political trends that affect markets, grasping technological disruption before it reshapes industries. The investor who understands demographic shifts might position herself early in the industries serving aging populations. The investor who understands technological trends might recognize before mainstream markets the industries facing disruption. This education is never finished. It's a lifelong practice that provides the ongoing competitive advantage. Rule 5. Leverage, multiplying your buying power. Leverage means using borrowed capital to purchase assets that generate returns exceeding the cost of borrowing. Correctly applied, leverage is the accelerant that transforms modest capital into substantial wealth. Here's a concrete example. You have $30,000 saved. You could purchase a $30,000 property and own it outright. Or you could leverage that $30,000 property as a down payment on a $150,000 property with a mortgage for $120,000. If both properties appreciate 5% annually, the property you own outright generates $1,500 in appreciation. The leveraged property generates $7,500 in appreciation, a 5 times return on your actual capital. The leverage doesn't change the appreciation rate. It multiplies the dollars of appreciation working on your behalf. Real estate has created more millionaires than any other asset class precisely because leverage is so accessible. A business owner uses leverage when borrowing to expand operations, hire staff, or purchase equipment that increases productive capacity. The borrowed capital must generate returns exceeding the interest cost, but when it does, the leverage accelerates growth substantially. The wealthy understand that leverage is a double-edged sword. In favorable conditions, it multiplies gains. In unfavorable conditions, it multiplies losses. They apply leverage only when they fully understand the risks involved. They have contingency plans for adverse scenarios. The asset generates returns substantially exceeding borrowing costs. They maintain adequate reserves to weather temporary setbacks. They haven't over-leveraged their entire position. They prefer fixed-rate debt when possible, protecting themselves against interest rate increases that can make leveraged investments unprofitable. They maintain the flexibility to pay down debt when opportunities or circumstances warrant. Leverage is not speculation. It's strategic deployment of debt as a tool for multiplying returns on capital. Rule 6. Financial discipline, the unsexy foundation. Every wealthy person will tell you that discipline matters more than income. You can earn $500,000 annually and remain poor through undisciplined spending. You can earn $60,000 annually and build substantial wealth through disciplined reinvestment. The wealthy consistently choose long-term wealth building over short-term consumption. This appears in every dimension of their financial lives. They research purchases carefully rather than buying impulsively. A $50,000 vehicle purchase requires the same analytical rigor they'd apply to an investment, analyzing total cost of ownership, depreciation, maintenance, and opportunity cost of that capital. They distinguish ruthlessly between necessary expenses and discretionary spending. They don't eliminate pleasure, they eliminate waste. The difference matters psychologically. They establish automated systems that enforce discipline. Savings happen automatically before discretionary money is available. Investment contributions occur systematically, regardless of emotional state or market conditions. They track spending to understand where money actually flows, not where they imagine it flows. They use leverage strategically while avoiding consumer debt that generates no returns. A mortgage on an income-producing property is productive debt. A credit card balance for consumption is destructive debt. Perhaps most importantly, they understand that financial discipline creates psychological benefits that extend far beyond wealth accumulation. Living below your means provides peace of mind. Having adequate reserves provides security and confidence. Being debt-free provides freedom. These psychological states aren't luxuries, they're the foundation upon which good decisions rest. The poor often live above their means, spending everything they earn and borrowing to finance consumption they can't afford. They experience chronic financial stress that clouds their judgment and limits their options. The wealthy understand that true luxury comes not from expensive possessions, but from financial freedom and the options it creates. Rule 7. Protection, defending what you've built. Building assets represents only half the equation. Protecting those assets from unforeseen catastrophes constitutes the other essential half. Insurance isn't an expense, it's essential protection. Property insurance shields against fire and natural disasters. Liability insurance protects against lawsuits that could eliminate years of accumulated wealth. Health insurance prevents medical catastrophe from destroying financial security. The premium costs are trivial compared to potential losses. The wealthy work with insurance professionals to ensure coverage remains adequate as circumstances change. They review policies regularly and adjust coverage to reflect current asset values and life circumstances. Beyond insurance, legal structures provide crucial protection. Trusts separate personal assets from business risks. Corporations create liability boundaries. Limited partnerships allow controlled risk exposure. These structures also provide tax advantages that preserve wealth for future generations. The wealthy also maintain geographic diversification. They don't keep all wealth in a single country or currency. Economic conditions, political stability, and currency values vary dramatically between regions. Holding assets across multiple countries and currencies provides protection against political instability or currency devaluation in any single location. They remain informed about government policies and economic trends that could affect their wealth. They adjust their positioning based on this understanding, moving capital before a market shift, reducing exposure to sectors facing regulatory pressure, diversifying into growing industries. Asset protection also includes protection against their own poor decisions. They establish systems and safeguards that prevent emotional or impulsive decisions from destroying accumulated wealth. They establish decision-making processes that require analysis before major commitments. Rule 8. Building your advisory team. The fantasy of the self-made wealth builder is exactly that, fantasy. The reality is that successful wealth builders surround themselves with competent professionals. The wealthy understand that successful wealth building requires expertise in multiple areas: investment analysis, tax strategy, legal protection, estate planning, risk management. Rather than attempting to master every dimension personally, they assemble teams of qualified specialists. These teams typically include certified financial planners for comprehensive wealth strategy, CPAs and tax specialists for optimization and compliance, investment advisors with proven track records, estate planning attorneys for generational wealth transfer, insurance specialists for comprehensive protection, business consultants for operational optimization. The wealthy understand that professional advice represents an investment that typically pays for itself many times over through improved results and avoided mistakes. They view their advisory team as essential tools for wealth building, not unnecessary expenses to minimize. They select advisors based on qualifications, experience, and track records rather than lowest cost. They understand that expertise commands appropriate compensation and that economizing on professional advice typically results in far greater costs through poor decisions. They establish long-term relationships with advisors, understanding that continuity provides benefits impossible to achieve through constantly changing relationships. Advisors who understand your complete financial picture can provide guidance far superior to those seeing only fragments. Beyond professional advisors, they seek mentors who've already achieved the level of success they aspire to. They study these individuals' methods and model their own strategies after proven approaches. They approach mentors with humility and genuine desire to learn, understanding that successful people are often willing to share knowledge with those demonstrating serious commitment. Rule 9. Analytical investment selection. The wealthy select investments through rigorous analysis rather than emotion, speculation, or trend chasing. Before committing capital, they conduct detailed research. They analyze potential returns and assess risks. They compare alternatives. They avoid investments they don't understand, regardless of how profitable others claim them to be. If an investment requires specialized knowledge beyond their expertise, it's speculation, not investment. They develop systematic approaches to evaluation that enable rational decisions, even when external pressures encourage emotional responses. They focus on underlying fundamentals rather than short-term price movements or popular opinion. They avoid the emotional trap that leads most investors to buy when prices are high due to optimism and sell when prices are low due to fear. Their decisions rest on rational analysis of long-term value. They recognize that the best investment opportunities often appear during periods when popular sentiment is negative and prices are depressed. The stock market crashes present opportunities to acquire quality companies at reduced prices. Real estate downturns present opportunities to acquire properties at discounts. They maintain reserves specifically to take advantage of these opportunities. They focus on investments providing both current income and long-term appreciation potential. They prefer assets generating cash flow during the holding period rather than investments depending entirely on price appreciation. They understand that timing matters. While they focus on long-term value, entry and exit timing significantly affect overall returns. They develop patience to wait for appropriate opportunities rather than forcing investments when conditions are unfavorable. They review investments regularly and make adjustments as circumstances change, maintaining alignment with objectives rather than becoming attached to underperforming positions. Rule 10. Tax optimization through legal strategies. Taxes represent one of the largest expenses the wealthy face. They actively seek legitimate ways to reduce this burden while maintaining full compliance. They understand the distinction between tax avoidance, legal and prudent, and tax evasion, illegal and dangerous. They work with qualified tax professionals to ensure strategies comply with applicable laws while minimizing obligations. Real estate investments offer depreciation deductions that reduce taxable income while properties may actually appreciate. Retirement accounts provide tax deferrals, allowing investments to compound without current taxation. Business ownership provides numerous opportunities through legitimate business expenses that reduce taxable income. They time investment transactions to optimize tax consequences. They harvest losses to offset gains when beneficial and delay recognition of gains until favorable tax treatment is available. They understand how different types of income are taxed and structure their affairs accordingly. They stay informed about tax law changes and maintain flexibility and strategies to adapt to new regulations. They recognize that tax planning must integrate with overall wealth strategy rather than pursue in isolation. Decisions minimizing current taxes but reducing long-term wealth accumulation represent poor choices. They also understand how charitable giving can provide tax benefits while supporting causes they believe in. They structure charitable contributions to maximize both philanthropic impact and tax advantages. Rule 11. Estate planning, generational wealth transfer. The wealthy understand that responsibility extends beyond their own financial security to include the financial foundation they leave for children and grandchildren. They work with estate planning attorneys to structure affairs in ways that minimize estate taxes and transfer costs while providing for heirs according to their wishes. Trusts, gifting strategies, and other legal instruments help preserve wealth across generations. They begin estate planning early in their wealth-building journey rather than waiting until later years. Many strategies become significantly more effective when implemented over extended time periods. They consider non-financial aspects of wealth transfer. Money without wisdom often creates more problems than benefits for recipients. They work to ensure their heirs understand the responsibilities that accompany wealth and possess knowledge necessary to preserve and grow inherited assets. They educate their children about money management and wealth-building principles. They understand that wealth without wisdom disappears within 1 or 2 generations. They invest as much effort transferring knowledge and values as transferring assets. They maintain ongoing relationships with estate planning professionals, reviewing and updating plans as family circumstances, tax laws, and asset values change. They consider charitable giving as part of estate planning, understanding that philanthropic goals can often be achieved in tax-efficient ways, benefiting both their heirs and causes they care about. They also plan for potential incapacity during their lifetimes, establishing powers of attorney and legal instruments, ensuring their affairs can be managed effectively if they become unable to do so. Rule 12. Long-term vision, transcending personal lifespan. The final principle separates the truly wealthy from those who merely accumulate money. They think in decades and generations rather than months or years. This extended time horizon allows them to ride out short-term market fluctuations and benefit from long-term growth, building substantial wealth. They plant trees whose shade they may never enjoy, understanding that true wealth building requires patience and persistence over extended periods. They make decisions today that may not pay dividends for years or decades, recognizing that time is their greatest ally. This long-term thinking influences every dimension of their financial lives, from investment selection to business development to family planning. They understand that the most powerful wealth-building strategies require extended time periods to reach full potential. Compound growth becomes truly dramatic only after decades of consistent application. Real estate appreciation creates substantial wealth only through long holding periods. Businesses become valuable enterprises only after years of development. They resist the temptation to abandon long-term strategies for get-rich-quick schemes promising immediate results. They understand that sustainable wealth building cannot be rushed and that attempts to accelerate through speculation typically lead to losses. This long-term perspective provides emotional stability during temporary setbacks. They view short-term losses as temporary obstacles rather than permanent failures because they maintain focus on long-term objectives. A 30% market downturn that devastates someone focused on next month's returns becomes an opportunity for someone focused on returns across decades. They combine long-term consistency with flexible execution. While fundamental strategies remain constant across decades, they adapt specific tactics to changing circumstances and opportunities. They build plans to survive and prosper regardless of temporary conditions. Money as leverage, beyond personal wealth. This is the paradigm shift that transforms wealth building from financial accumulation into something far more significant. Money is not meant to be hoarded. Money is leverage. When deployed strategically, money amplifies your power to create impact in ways impossible through effort alone. Leverage for ideas. An entrepreneur with brilliant innovations but no capital remains constrained by personal capacity. With financial leverage, she can hire teams, build infrastructure, scale operations. Her ideas reach markets that could never access them without capital deployment. Money isn't greed, it's the vehicle enabling ideas to serve their highest potential. Leverage for influence. A thought leader with valuable insights limited to a small audience faces natural constraints. With financial leverage, she can build platforms, produce content at scale, reach millions. Money becomes the amplifier of important messages that deserve wider hearing. Resources determine reach. Leverage for position. Consider the physician wanting to establish a specialized clinic serving underserved populations. Without financial leverage, her impact remains constrained by available time and energy. With capital, she builds infrastructure, hires staff, expands capacity. Her professional competence multiplies through financial leverage. Leverage for family. A parent with limited resources struggles to provide opportunities for their children. Financial leverage changes this equation. Resources enable quality education, mentorship access, network building, capital to launch children's ventures. Generational impact compounds through financial foundation. Leverage for community. A community leader with passion for neighborhood improvement identifies specific needs, educational gaps, infrastructure limitations, employment barriers. Without resources, their efforts remain constrained to personal capacity. With financial leverage, they fund programs, build institutions, create systemic change. Money enables ideas to become reality. The wealthy understand this at a visceral level. They're not building wealth for luxury consumption. They're building economic power that enables them to bring their ideas to fruition, create positions of influence from which they can guide others, and establish family enterprises that provide opportunity for generations. Money becomes the lever in Archimedes' famous principle. Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world. Your starting point. The moment is now. Every wealthy person began exactly where you are now, with limited resources but unlimited potential. What distinguished them from the masses wasn't their starting point, but their willingness to apply proven principles consistently over time, regardless of temporary setbacks or discouraging circumstances. You need not wait for better circumstances or additional resources to begin this journey. You can start exactly where you are with whatever resources you currently possess, applying these principles in proportion to your current situation while building toward greater application as wealth grows. The choice is immediate and clear. You can continue trading time for money, remaining dependent on employment income for survival, your freedom forever constrained by the requirement to keep earning. Or you can begin today building assets that provide income independent of your direct labor. You can continue spending everything you earn on immediate consumption, your financial stress compounding annually. Or you can systematically invest in your future, trading temporary sacrifice for permanent abundance. You can remain reliant on a single income stream, vulnerable to job loss or economic disruption. Or you can deliberately build multiple revenue channels that provide security and flexibility. The mechanism of wealth creation is no mystery. It follows immutable laws just as surely as gravity and magnetism follow physical laws. These principles work whether you understand them or not. But when you work with these universal principles, you set in motion forces that will bring riches as surely as a magnet pulls steel. Understand your first step. Commit to building one asset. It might be a small rental property. It might be launching a business. It might be beginning systematic stock investing. Pick one. Research it thoroughly. Take action proportional to your current resources. Document your progress. Track your results. Learn from both successes and failures. Build momentum. Add a second income stream, then a third. Reinvest returns rather than consuming them. Let compound growth do its work. Years will pass. Your leverage will grow. Your influence will expand. Your options will multiply. Your ability to pursue meaningful work, whether that means supporting your family, building your business, launching community initiatives, or creating intergenerational wealth, will transform. The universe operates according to fixed laws that reward those who cooperate with them and punish those who violate them. These 12 principles represent your cooperation with the laws governing wealth creation. Apply them faithfully, and they will transform your financial destiny as surely as they have enriched countless others throughout history. Begin today. Begin now. Begin exactly where you are with what you have.